Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. We have a special guest today. His name is Joey Mannarino. He's a podcast host, political commentator. He's got over 500,000 followers on Twitter. Definitely one of the most vocal conservative voices, I guess you could say. And
Yeah,
he's
you could
a
say that.
proud Italian American. So welcome to the podcast, Joey.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, and I love what you guys do. I spend more time in America and Europe, not so much in Latin America, but the little I have spent there, I can understand why you guys love it so much. I really get it.
Well, you're a Latin man. You're an Italian American.
Yeah, I'm honorary Latino. We'll keep that. My wife is Spanish. It's whatever. It works.
True. And you actually have your Italian passport, is my understanding.
I do. I do. I was born to Italian parents. My mother's born in the States. My father's born in Italy. So through blood, you can just get the Italian passport. So when I was 3 years old, that was done before I could think. Because I guess my father kind of foresaw what was going to happen and that we needed to be able to have. Look, at this point, when you are vocal in politics, even if you're not vocal in politics, if you are a citizen of the United States and you see where the country is going, and you have at your fingertips the ability to get another passport or another residency, and you don't, you are being very derelict in your own duty for your family and for your life because things are just really iffy here right now. And if you can get another passport, you should do it. It's for the sake of not only enjoying life outside of America, but at some point it could be for the sake of protecting yourself.
Hmm. And why do you say things are iffy right now?
Well, you you see the state of the country, you see the decline of the cities, you see the decline of just life in general, the quality of life. Not only the decline in safety, also just look at how you have to live. I pay in Miami, I won't say what I pay, but I pay an absurd amount of money in rent. And my apartment, the kitchen hasn't been renovated since at least, I mean, still the 90s, I don't know. And what I pay in Miami when I'm in Europe, same amount of money, if I was to spend that, which I don't because I don't need to, I could be living in a penthouse in the center of any city in Europe, any European capital. And in Latin America, I'm sure I could be living, I don't know, you could tell me I could be living in one of the best buildings in any city for what I pay in Miami.
Hmm.
And when you look around at that, when you realize how much we're paying and then what we're getting back, you walk out the door, everybody's mad at you, everybody's angry at life, everybody's working two jobs, sometimes at least one job all day, all night, and barely getting by. And that takes a toll on the psyche. And I think right now America is dealing with a psychological hatred of what we're living through. And that reflects in every kind of way.
Hmm.
People are just miserable. And so I was in Colombia in November, first time going to Colombia. The people were happy. They were just nice. Even the workers, they were kind. And I know they're not living with any kind of good money, but there's just a different psychological, I guess, analysis that they're going through. I think in America, we live only to work. And in the rest of the world, people don't realize this until they get outside of here. They actually have other interests in life other than work because they can. Here, we're so focused on work and division that we've forgotten what life actually means.
Hmm. And that'll be a big theme for the episode, but I'll keep teeing it up, Joey, before we get into it. So people might be wondering, how did we even get connected? Well, I was actually kind of surprised on Twitter. You kind of just started joining the conversations. You started replying to some of my tweets. I'm at a measly 20 something thousand followers. You're at half a million. And I was just like, huh, who is this guy with like a huge follower base that keeps replying to my stuff? Because there's definitely overlap how we talk about like the decline of the US and this type of thing. And you just kept joining the conversation. It's probably been, I don't know, maybe even like 6 months that we've had like almost daily good back and forth.
Yeah, I think I've been following you guys a while. the whole sovereignty, the whole Latin American stuff. I don't know how I came across it with this new Twitter algorithm. They just serve you random things, and I think it was your profile I saw first. And I don't know what you were talking about. I don't really remember, but I commented. I said, "Oh, I'll follow him," and then I found a lot of great people through your community too. Um, so yeah, because a lot of what we are talking about is the same thing. People are leaving the United States in record numbers, which it shouldn't be that, like, it shouldn't come to this. People used to come to the United States for the best possible life. And now the American dream is to get out and just make sure you have the work permit so you can keep a remote job from the United States. But it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And you talk a lot. I'm assuming you're Canadian because you talk a lot about Canada.
Canadian American dual.
Canadian American. So, I mean, over there, it's horrible. It's just horrible. The only difference, the only good thing they have is once they leave the country, they can leave the system. We're trapped in it forever with
Hmm.
the American passport. It's the blessing and the curse. We are trapped in that taxation system forever until we renounce. And only country in the world, and Eritrea, which, I mean, who
Right.
cares? But it's very crazy what we deal with. And people, so I actually had a conversation with the guy who ran for president, Vivek Ramaswamy. And I asked him, I said, what do you think of this whole, taxation for life thing? And at the time, he didn't even really realize that that was a thing, that if you leave the United States of America, you're still paying into the system. Most political people don't even think to understand the whole expat issues that they deal with. Why should I have to pay taxes to a country I don't live in? I don't understand the whole concept of that. And it's not like they get anything for it. They literally get nothing for it. They don't live here.
Hmm.
It's just insane when you think of it. So, yeah, I think that's why I started following you guys for, and because I'm going to get a residency somewhere. I don't know where, but we're going to get this done because I have the Italian passport, I have the American, but, Schengen zone is getting funky too. So we got to always have something, some backup.
Yeah, so you mentioned Vivek. That was definitely in my notes to ask you about. You actually kind of went on tour with him. I saw you guys were in the Sprinter van together and stuff.
Well, so when he was running, they contacted me and asked if I wanted to come and cover the campaign for a couple of days. And a couple of days turned into like 2 weeks. And I loved him and his team. They were great. I was very, very interested in his campaign. I mean, I was always with Trump, but I thought that his voice was so good to have in the conversation. And yeah, being with him, I learned a lot. I mean, he's a great guy, and hopefully 2028 we'll see more from him. Hopefully, frankly, 2024 we'll see something out of him. But I don't know if that'll come in the form of VP or some random cabinet position. But we need strong people. We need strong people, and he's one of the good ones. So,
What did you learn through your experience on the road with him?
well, most of it was learning about how Iowa campaigning works, and yikes, that's hard work. He was doing like 8, 9 stops a day driving through the most backroads parts of Iowa on his bus. And God, what I did learn a lot from different conversations that people were having out there is people are really concerned about the country and people don't have a lot of hope. There's not a lot of optimism out there among the average American voter. People don't really feel like things are going to get better. People just kind of want to put off the real crisis another 4 years, another 8 years, another 12 years. But most people have kind of written off that this is going to turn around fully. And that was kind of a black pill that I had to take. But no, as far as Vivek went, I think he's excellent. And I think we're going to see great things out of him. But the general consensus in the country right now is are we ever going to get back to what we started? Are we ever going to get the country that we want back? And most people are just satisfied with holding it off another 12, 15 years at best. And that's very scary.
What do you mean holding it off?
Holding off the complete decline, holding off the point where the monetary system is down to zero, holding off the dollar completely going to worthlessness, holding off not being able to afford rent at all. Um, the home ownership dream for most Americans under, I would say, 30, if you don't inherit a house, good luck. You'll be paying off that mortgage the rest of your life if you can even get one. The houses
Mhm.
are so absurdly out of control. It's just not good. So holding off just a total collapse. I think we're in a huge decline right now. I don't think we fully collapsed yet, but that opinion, I guess, varies depending on who you talk to. But holding off just the complete end of this great country, because it is a great country, and it's disgusting to see what is being done.
Mhm. And to give people a little bit of a flavor of some of your tweets,
Oh
and
God.
I should probably I should probably mention that I don't endorse everything Joey says. He's definitely going for shock value sometimes. Calling people fat or I don't even know, but
I say,
there's definitely been
whatever
some ones
comes
where
in
I
my
was like,
mind.
"Geez, is he going to delete that?" And then I don't even think he delete it.
Yeah, I
But
rarely delete. I don't filter that much. I don't filter.
you definitely don't filter. You're definitely taking good advantage of the free speech platform we have now on
I
X.
test the limit. I really test the limit.
This is true. And I'll give you just the one, guys, the audience. I'll give you the one he tweeted just today, this morning, at the time of this recording, and it says, "You don't have to believe in the great replacement theory, but they're still going to replace you. You don't have to believe that the 2020 election was stolen, but that doesn't change the fact that they stole your vote. You don't have to believe that your government hates you, but it doesn't make them hate you any less. You don't have to believe that many illegals are criminals and arpists, but that won't make them spare your loved ones when it's time for them to find someone to R. And you don't have to fight against any of this stuff, but when you wake up one day and the lifestyle you once knew is gone, don't say you weren't warned." That has
Yeah, it's kind of dark.
500 retweets already.
Yeah, that's kind of dark, but it's kind of true. The government of the United States, I feel, and I think many people feel, they don't care about us anymore. They are much more interested in serving. I mean, you see the border crisis. It's funny because I don't know what they're running in here for at this point, but they're running over and they're being given great things. I mean, they look at New York. New York has 88 hotels that are reserved as migrant shelters at this point.
88.
And yeah, 88 was the last number I heard. They're spending billions all over the country. They're being housed in, I don't know about decent conditions. I don't know what the conditions some of these cities are giving them, but they're being housed. We're not being housed if we go homeless. I go homeless tomorrow. Nobody's housing me. But people get here, they arrive here, and they're given a great start. My family got here in 1947 from Italy. On my mother's side. My father's side got here in the 70s, but nobody gave us anything. Nobody gave us a thing. It was okay, welcome. Two of my family members got rejected. They got sent back because for whatever reason they didn't like them. My grandfather had to spend 5 years in Canada waiting to get in. And now everybody just walks right on through. And it's not good. It's not nice to see that, we pay. I mean, I say 50% in tax. It's not exactly 50%, but when you consider all the taxes added up, the sales tax, the state tax, the tax on the car, the gas taxes, all the different taxes, you're paying 50% at the end of the day. And for what? What do I get back? I get to sponsor people that don't even respect this country. And, if they want to come and work, that's one thing, but you're not seeing that so much anymore. You're seeing people just walk in and enjoy the fruits of my labor and your labor. And that's why I say this country is very quickly declining when you have the American citizen working and then people who don't even get properly vetted reaping the benefits of that. It's kind of crazy.
Mhm. And I gotta ask, like, what's your process? Because you sent that tweet at 7 a.m. Eastern. You just wake up, espresso, blast that out, or was that in the, what do you call it? In the docket, like a
No,
pre-programmed
I don't
tweet.
have a docket. I don't do docket because you can't do long tweets and schedule them. So I don't do docket,
Right.
which is really by the way. Pretty stupid. If anybody
So
from
you
Twitter's
you
listening,
woke up
we
and chose violence at
I just woke up and
6:59 a.m.
tweeted that because I just got back. I got back from Vienna last night, and so I was on a little bit of a time zone thing. My dog woke up at 5:30, begging me for food because he was starving from the time difference I get. So I was up early, and I was actually listening to a speech from somebody from the conference I was at in Budapest
Mhm.
a week ago, and I said, "Oh," and that just came, and I just wrote that. It's, I guess my Twitter's kind of dark sometimes, but we're not in a bright place. So I prefer reality to lies. Um, and so I'll just say it like it needs to be said. A lot of people don't because they're fearing getting canceled. I employ myself. So, I mean, who's going to cancel me? I can't cancel myself. So that's a good position to be in. And
What do you actually do?
fundraising for different candidates. So if they want to run for office in the United States, it costs costs at least $1 million, and that's for basically any race on the federal level. So I assist them in messaging, I assist them in fundraising, connecting to donors, connecting to small dollar, mostly not really big dollar, but that's essentially what I do. And Twitter is becoming a bigger part of my income, believe it or not. Not really I mean, I couldn't quit what I really do and do Twitter, but it's definitely
Mhm.
paying a few
I'll
few
tell you. So
bills.
I'm getting about $100 every 2 weeks right now. What
hmm
do you? So you must be way up there. What are you getting?
well, it depends 100% on the week. So 3 pay periods ago, I got $600. Last week, I got $4,500, and the
Wow, for a
week
two
before
week
that,
period.
for a 2 week period. And 2 weeks before that, I got 3,500. Now, go back a month and I got $300. My impressions are almost always the same. That's what I don't completely understand. Because my impressions, they're always in the 2 week period between 80 million to 120 million. But it's not like if I get 120 million in 2 weeks, I know I'm getting $4,000. There's weeks one time I got 150 million. I said, oh, this is going to be a very nice paycheck. I got like 400 bucks. So I don't know how it really works, um, but it's nice. So it is nice. It is a nice little side income for something I'd be doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are listening to this and they're like, $4,000 every two. Like you're making 9 grand a month from tweeting in
Oh
a
well, I
good month.
wish I haven't done. I think the best I ever did was $5,400, and that might have been the second pay period. Now the first two in my mind were just inflated. So you said, "Oh wow, I'm gonna keep tweeting," but yeah, I would tweet anyway. Number one, I like to get the message out. Number two, I mean it's good for business, frankly, right? To find people, to find clients, and things like that. Number three, people just need to say stuff today. So the fact that they pay you a piece of that, it's not like YouTube. You don't have to sit and create videos and edit the video. You just tweet. I mean, half the people I know tweet on the toilet, right?
Mm.
So you're just making extra money.
Let me ask you a bit more about your Twitter strategy then. So you said you don't pre-schedule tweets at all, or you do pre-schedule
No,
some?
I don't. I don't. Basically, because I don't find that it's useful. Because what I think 6 hours before might be completely irrelevant in 6 hours. Now I could just go and Google a bunch of Ronald Reagan quotes or something and schedule them out through the whole night, but I don't. I just kind of put stuff together when I think of them. And you can't pre-schedule a lot of media, so I don't waste time. And really, what's very important on Twitter is long form. So sometimes people will say you're wordy. Well, I'm wordy because that's what performs. I used to be very short when you could be short for 140 characters or 280 or whatever. Short was great. I loved it. Frankly, I don't love writing 6, 7 paragraphs about stuff, but that's what the algorithm loves. And
Mm.
at the moment, the algorithm doesn't love much of anything. I don't know if your numbers went down, but everyone I know's numbers went in the toilet. And I don't completely understand what's that. They change the algorithm every week. And I
Mhm.
complain a lot about it, not because they say, oh, you don't like Elon, you hate Elon, you're always hating. I'm not hating. I want a good product. And I'm sure he wants people that's going to tell him it's a good product. There's a lot of people, I'm sure they just say, oh, it's perfect. It's not perfect. It's horrible. The algorithm right now is horrible. And I don't blame him. I know they're just trying new things and seeing what works, and they adjust based on feedback. That's the nice thing about Twitter, or X. But Instagram, you can complain until you're blue in the face. The other day, I was writing. I said to Elon on Twitter, I said we need a unblock all button, and he replied. He said, "Okay, I'll do that." To me, who the hell am I? He's the CEO of the company. You don't have Zuckerberg answering questions. They're probably busy
Mm.
reprogramming that guy all the time, but it's nice that he's responsive. So that's why I'm sort of not complaining about it, but I like to give feedback.
He was talking about unblocks like a day ago. I didn't see that the one where your interaction with him, but yeah, he was talking
Yeah,
about that.
he was saying you got to unblock everybody. Well, I have 1,400 people blocked from back in the day, 5 years, 6 years ago. I haven't blocked anybody since. So that when they brought me back, I was gone for 5 years, and when they brought my account back, I said, "All right, I won't block anybody ever again, because I don't, why? I was blocked 5 years. I don't believe in blocking people now." So I can't sit there and click 1,400 times. I could, but it literally breaks after like 40. So I need an unblock all button. And he said, "Will do." So will he do it? Who knows? Maybe in 2 weeks. But at the end of the story, he actually is responsive to users that are just regular people. I don't have any connection to Twitter. Um, my connection is just tweeting and hoping somebody sees it. So.
That's cool. Is that your only Elon interaction?
I had a few. I don't really remember. There was something about Fetterman that he replied to or liked. There was something about. There were three or four over the course on my account. And then there was something I wrote. Well, whatever. I won't get into that. Sometimes I give other people ideas because sometimes I can't say everything I want to say because I'm the wrong color, I'm the wrong gender or something. So I'll send it over to a friend, and then they'll go viral, and I don't care. I'm happy. But I think I had told my wife, I said, tweet something about woke men, and Elon liked it, and she got like 15,000 followers from that or something. Um, so, you know,
Hmm. Do you ghostwrite tweets for your girlfriend wife?
I don't ghostwrite. I'll give her ideas though, and I'll edit because she's Spanish, so she doesn't have perfect command of the English language, and people can tell. People can tell when she sends something to me to fix the language because there'll be words in there that you're not going to know as a native Spanish speaker speaking English. But most of what she writes like 95% of it. But occasionally there'll be something I want to say, but I can't say as a man, and I'll just send it over to her,
Hmm.
and say, go ahead and say that. And she'll put her own twist on it. But she never was into politics. She got into it from me. And even into Twitter, she was completely not a part of that life. And then at the time, I was still banned. So I would like scroll through her account and read stuff. Um, and then she just slowly got followers. And then one time, Elon, I don't know if he retweeted or replied to her, but she got 15,000 followers off of that. I said, okay, well, now you're in the game. So welcome. And that's it. Now she has like 200,000 followers, I think. 205.
Yeah, yeah, 200,000 followers. I mean, she's probably making good money too, especially compared to a
No,
Spanish salary.
nope. No, no. She's actually not. I don't know why. Well, because she's not on there all the time like me either. But she'll make 300 bucks, which in Spain is basically a salary for a week. I mean, I hate to say they
It
make
is.
like a
It is.
thousand bucks a month in Spain. It's awful.
Yeah.
And then their cost of living is not that much less. It depends what city you're in. But if you're in Barcelona, if you're in Madrid, you're not renting an apartment for 1,000 a month salary and being comfortable. It's not happening. Maybe you'll get something for 600 bucks. It's not going to be in the center of the city. And their tax rate. I mean, you want to talk about just complete financial horror. Look at the Spanish tax system.
Mm.
That's just a tragedy. That's why she was saying, oh, maybe we should move back to Spain. I'm not moving back to anywhere with that kind of tax system. I'll spend a couple of months, 4,
Hmm.
5, not 6 or more, not in that country. Now, they have an opportunity. They have geographically the most beautiful settings. Spain is probably, if you look at the actual layout of the country, the cities they have, the
Hmm.
quality of life they have, if they would go to a system with a flat tax or a territorial tax, I mean, you pay, I don't know exactly where you live, but you're living the good tax life. But if they would go to something even half as good as what you have in Latin America for expats, they would have a boom like they never imagined. The local
Right. Just like
economies, the
a
money.
20% flat income tax or something. It'd be fine.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe 15, because with deductions, you can get. No, because with deductions, you can get to 10 in America, not that hard, right? I mean, if you're really careful what you're doing and you have a good accountant and you're meticulous about deductions, you can get to 10, 15. Um, Now, you have to really itemize hard and go through a lot of different corporate structure and S Corp and all that kind of jazz. But you can get to 10 to 15. But you know what? Yeah, actually, for 20, I would live in Spain. I would live in Spain just for the extra quality of life boost that you get. Because that's what people
Hmm.
don't talk about. Once you leave the United States, I hate, people are going to say, Joey, you sound like you're hating on the United States. I love the United States, but we're living our worst possible iteration of ourselves right now. Once you leave, the world is just a little brighter outside. And I don't mean just sunlight, I mean, people are just happier. The quality of life that you get is just different. The quality of food that you get. This is something I talk about from time to time. The preservatives and chemicals in the United States that are allowed to be consumed by human beings, they wouldn't feed that to animals in the European Union. They wouldn't feed that to anybody in half of Latin America. The way we eat is a complete sin. It's a complete disaster.
Yeah, let's go down this path and talk about sort of the differences between the US and the rest of the world, or specifically Europe, where you know best. Joey, we probably talk a lot about walkable cities and how getting away from insane commuting lifestyle in the US to a walkable city in Europe or Latin America in and of itself is life changing.
It's absolutely life changing. Every time, so I spend about 6 months of the year in the United States and 6 months in Europe. And essentially, I know what weight I'll be in the United States, and it's always 10 to 15 pounds heavier than I'll be in Europe. I don't eat different. Or maybe I watch a little more what I eat in America, frankly, because you have to. But the amount of walking you do in Europe, or even, I mean, it was in El Salvador, in San Salvador, it was much more walkable than Miami. Um, you can't walk in the United States. You can't, the cities are not built for walking. They're not, and you know how nice it is, even mentally. You eat dinner and you walk back to your house and it takes 5, 10 minutes. It's beautiful. And we're not talking only the tourist cities. Every city basically in Europe is very walkable. And it's a big lifestyle change for you to be able, and I know some people say 15-minute cities, you're talking about 15-minute cities. No, I'm not. Talking about cities where you can just get done your daily activities on foot more than in the car. And it doesn't mean anything about your freedom being limited. Actually, in fact, it means your freedom is a lot more, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
it's sad when, in America right now, this morning, I just got back. Had to take a car to get the coffee. Had to take a car to go to the mall. Had to take a car to go to the grocery store. In Italy, I would have been on foot. All I wouldn't have been in the car yet at all. And that affects a lot. It affects a lot. You have to eat a lot less in the United States or work out in the treadmill a lot more compared to what you would just do every day in another part of the world.
Hmm. What are some other differences between America and, say, Europe?
So, well, we talked about the quality of the food. I mean, like I said, the chemicals that we eat in America, it's out of this world. It's out of this world when you really consider and look through the colorings, the dyes, just the general poison that we're allowed to consume. It's crazy. And so we talked about the walkability. Frankly, we talked about the people, the lifestyle, the openness of people. As far as the United States, nobody trusts anybody anymore. There's a very low trust society. And that's for a reason, I think, compared to, I don't know about Latin America, but I know in Europe, people are more open and trusting of one another um, generally. And I see why. I mean, frankly, I see why. We're also becoming, in the United States, a lot less customer service friendly than we used to be. We used to be the land of customer service, the land of the customer is always right. We're losing that. We're actually going very backwards in that way, which was that was well known in Europe that they're rude to customers, but they're not as bad anymore. They're kind of flipping on that. And certain things. It was funny. I was talking to a dog trainer when I was just over in Vienna, and we happened to be having dinner next to a dog trainer. They saw my dog and started talking. Shock collars are banned in the European Union. Here, the shock collar, the first thing the trainer says is, "Did you try a shock collar?" My dog is 15 pounds. No, I didn't try a shock collar. Um, certain things like that. There's just little things that you notice over the years that are quite surprising. Can't think of all of them right now, but those are just a few.
Dude,
The
that's a
dog
great
friendliness is
observation.
another thing.
Okay, talk about dogs, then we'll come back to that.
Well, so in Europe, the depends on the city, right? Depends on the country. Italy is probably the most dog friendly country I've ever been to. The dog
Really?
goes everywhere. The dog supermarkets, I mean, not the dog supermarkets, the regular people supermarkets have dog baskets where the dog can sit in the shopping cart with you. Now, poor dog, he's being tempted because you're buying meat, you're buying all this stuff. But they can sit in the baskets with you. You put the dog in the cab if you gotta get a cab somewhere. Nobody complains as long as he sits on your lap and doesn't shed all over the seats. In the United States, I, I mean, the way we treat dogs here, we think we're nice to dogs. We're horrible to dogs here. We give them their little 1 hour walk and that's it. And I know you say that the dogs are very freedom limiting, which I don't disagree. But I think is that you who said that? Would
That
that
is me
dogs
who said
actually?
that.
Yeah, that is you. Okay, good. I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean they are, frankly, because of different leases. Now in Italy, they can't refuse you for a dog. There is a law that if a landlord wants you, they cannot refuse you just because you have a dog. So you don't even have to reveal to them that you have a dog. They
Really?
must
Even if
let you.
it's a gigantic dog?
The law is the law, as far as I know. Now, frankly, I wouldn't take that chance if I'm if I'm gonna rent. I'm not going to hide my dog, and so they won't tell me I'm not renting to you for your dog, because it's illegal. They'll come up with some other reason. But technically, if you don't tell your landlord and you walk in with a big ass Great Dane, you're all good legally. Now, I'm sure they'll try to make your life very hard in other ways to get you out of there quickly. But no, actually, one of the apartments I rented over in Italy, in Milan, I didn't know. I told the real estate agent. I actually bring my dog when I go look at apartments because I want to make sure the balcony, he's skinny and long, so I don't want him to be able to slide through different the little slats in the balcony. So I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
bring him to make sure that he's, they're small enough or he's big enough. So I rented the place and I signed a six month lease. I think I signed. I get there the first day that the landlord is there, and I walk in with my dog, and he goes, "What are you? What? Why is there a dog here?" I said, "Because I'm renting the apartment." And he looks at me. He's like, "Nobody told me there was a dog." So the real estate agent didn't even tell him. I said, "Oh well, what do you want me to do? He's my dog." Oh, he got all upset. And that's when I realized, because I called a lawyer, a friend of mine who was a lawyer. I said, "Look, this guy's going to make my life hell." He goes, "No, no, no. The law is the law. He cannot refuse you for a dog." So that's how I found out there is actually protection for that. And even the veterinary care is so much cheaper. And there's just
Hmm.
that's one big difference. My dog's quality of life goes way up when he's in Europe. Now, not so much in Austria, by the way. They don't love their dogs as much. I'm sure the people love their dogs, but the public transit does not love dogs. They got to be muzzled. Even my little dog, he's like 5 pounds, and they wanted me to put a muzzle. I don't even have a muzzle. Um, but so In America, I don't think you really bring dogs on public transit. Not that we have much. I wouldn't want to bring my dog on public transit for the dog's sake in most of the United States, for what he may ingest or what he may see while we're
Mhm.
on that train.
And cost wise, you can go to the vet and spend $700 in the US, and I'm not sure if
Huh.
insurance covers that
Let
or
me
whatever,
tell you,
right?
I flew my dog, he was due for vaccines. I flew him to Italy, did the vaccines in Italy, did the checkup in Italy, and paid less than I would have paid for the checkup here and the vaccines here. With the flight and the vaccines and the hotel, and I paid less. No joke.
How much
I
are
went.
vaccines in a checkup in the US? I don't even know.
They wanted me to pay $900 for everything total. He needed
Jeez.
and it wasn't even rabies. It was just regular booster vaccines for something. But they quoted me 500 for something, and then they wanted the checkup fee. Now I'm sure there's cheaper vets. I'm sure there's all varying prices to people listening. Maybe it depends on the state. I'm in Miami. It's probably one of the most expensive places to live in the states. But yeah, they wanted like $900. I said $900. I'll be on a plane, and I got my little credit card points together. Took literally didn't even pay for the flight. I just did it on points, and that's why it came out to be cheaper. The hotel was like $150 a night. Stayed 3 nights, flew back, and that was it. What am I gonna pay? And they treat the dogs a little nicer over there, at the vet. They're less. I don't know. All the medicine once you leave America becomes less focused on money and billing and more about patient care. Now they say in
Hmm.
Latin America it's even better with the private doctors. I don't know. I've never and hopefully never will need to go to a doctor when I'm traveling there. Hopefully I never need to go to a doctor traveling anywhere. But when you do, there is a considerable difference.
Well, bro, you got to get a root canal or something. You're in Miami, quick flight to Colombia. You're gonna
Yeah,
save
I
some
got
money.
I got veneers done in Colombia. I was looking at the prices in Florida. Oh my God, it's like $4,000 for 3 teeth. The whole mouth was 4,000 in Colombia. The whole mouth,
Hmm.
and that was a high price. That was a very high price from what I was told. But they did a good job, so I didn't. Well, actually, frankly, they didn't make me pay because I promoted it. But whatever. Um,
You got free veneers?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I had to pay to get there, and I had to pay for a couple of things, but they did a, you know, you can work when you have followers. You can work out things if you're Karenish like me, and
That's
ask.
funny.
If you don't ask, they won't give it. So my wife didn't understand this stuff. She kept buying all this makeup. I kept looking at the makeup bills, and the credit card, and I'm seeing Sephora this for 200, Sephora that. I said, why don't you just contact these people on Instagram and say I'll promote your product, give me the sample. She hasn't paid for makeup in like 2 months because of that. You got to take advantage, and you have enough to do stuff like that too.
Hmm.
It's harder when you're not showing your face. That's a little tougher, but there's ways.
Right. Yeah, I got to get some free hotels or something.
You sure should.
Hey guys, quick break from the podcast to tell you about job stacking. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Haltza, author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income by implementing his paycheck multiplication layering method. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond 20K a month. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, if you're interested in unleashing your earning potential and doubling your income, then click the link in the description and book a call with Rolf right now. Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. BitRefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. Let me ask you about El Salvador. So
Yeah,
you went down there quite recently.
yeah.
We're recording this beginning of May, might come out about a month from now. You were down there what, April, late March?
I was down there I think it was the end of March. Yeah, right around Easter, and we've been being told for 2 years, come to visit El Salvador. I have a friend there. He ran for public office, and ever since before he ran, he'd always been saying, "Come to El Salvador. You will be so surprised. Come, come, come." And I never made the time, but this time we just did it, and I was extremely impressed. Um, it was so different than I had envisioned it, as far as quality. It was much higher level than I thought in terms of ease to get around places. Um, the Ubers were like 20 cents, it felt like. But even at the airport, you walked in, you could pay the immigration fee, $12 with Bitcoin if you wanted. You literally pay it with Bitcoin. And it was just really simple also because they use the United States dollar. So between the Bitcoin and the dollar, it was literally just like being in a nicer version of the United States, and much cheaper. The food was great. The hospitality was wonderful. We actually got involved in a car accident when we were down there. The police treated you so humanely and so kindly. Um, they actually ordered us an Uber back to the city while our friend who had the accident stayed and dealt with the accident. The police organized that because we were kind of remote. What in America? Imagine a police officer saying, "Oh, you guys shouldn't have to wait. We're going to get you back to the city." Give me a break. This would never happen. So it was. I was very impressed, and I'll be going back. I don't know when you're releasing this, but I will be going back soon.
Oh, cool. And is your friend, what's his name, Herbert?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Herbert.
Yeah, I've interacted with him a little bit. Speaks great English, it seems
Yeah.
like, and
So I think
he's
he was born in El Salvador, but he lived. I knew him from Miami. I knew him from years ago in Miami.
he's actually a member of government now in El Salvador and a very vocal Bukele supporter.
I'm not sure if I don't think he's a member officially of the government. He's a member of the party. Um,
Okay.
but I don't know because the new cabinet has not been released yet. The new positions for the second Bukele administration haven't been released. So I don't know if he's in government. Um, but he might as well be. He knows I mean, he walks around like a mayor of the city. Everyone knows him over there. So it was a great experience. We were really, really treated incredibly.
I think what's cool about El Salvador is it seems like a country where if you have energy, you could get involved in politics and help build this country into something great.
Yeah, because what's fascinating about them is, I mean, the experiment they're doing. They threw all their gang members in jail, right? They threw everyone in jail. It was zero tolerance for any of the insanity that was going on. It was the most dangerous country, I think, in the hemisphere. And now it has a lower murder rate than most American cities. I think than almost all American major cities.
Mhm.
Um, I was, I did not expect to feel that safe when we were there. Even when it was just me and my wife going around, we didn't particularly know where we were going, but nobody bothered us. No panhandlers, no homeless running up to us, no crack pipes being handed out to people, no needles on the floor. I don't know the last time you've been to New York. The whole place smells like weed. The whole city, doesn't matter where you walk in Manhattan, smells like marijuana. No marijuana smell. I don't even mind marijuana, but I don't really want to smell it. The whole city. I want to smell air. Um, so it was just really well kept up, and I was extremely impressed. Frankly, I would move there in a heartbeat, if there was an opportunity to move there for a reason. I would move there in a heartbeat. But those prices are going up. Those prices on rent and property, people are starting to understand what's going on over there. They are moving up very quickly.
Mhm.
Food is still cheap, services are still cheap, but the price of property is starting to reflect.
Well, I heard no one wants to sell. Like I had
Nope.
a friend of the podcast, Wandering Investor, Ladislas. He went down there. He was trying to look for some property to buy, and all the locals are like, why would I sell? It's just going to go up in value.
Yep. Yeah, that's why the few people that are selling, they're selling for, you better be ready to pay.
Hmm.
You better be ready. I was very surprised. Compare it to when I was in Medellin looking at the prices. And then you look at those prices, I say, oh, wow. I mean, some of those prices could compete with some American cities pretty easily.
Uh-huh. But
Uh,
you live in Miami. Like, it's hard to maintain a place if you're not there year round or renting it out because it gets moldy and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gone from my apartment 1 month, and I got back. The Wi-Fi was out. I have a toilet problem. I don't even know how you get a toilet problem when you don't use the toilet, but the one toilet doesn't want to flush. And yeah, so I don't understand people who can do these three, four houses and go around to them. I can barely manage one. Um, it's not easy work. So I understand some people are great investors and they have the money to have people go in and take care of it, but a lot of people who own, middle class, upper middle class, who own two, three, four properties, they're miserable because there's always a problem with one of them.
Hmm. So, when you look at El Salvador, do you think it's something that can be durable for 10, 20 years, like a full turnaround, even if maybe Bukele was out of office? Does it still feel a little bit, I don't want to say unstable, but like ephemeral? Or does it feel long term?
Here's my thing. All of those gang members, or 70, 80,000, however many are in jail, right? All you have to do is let them out and you have the same situation back in about a month. It would take about a month to a year. So all you need is one really stupid person to get into power and release the criminals. And I know, most people hear that and they're like, why would anyone release the criminals? Look at America. Like, look at New York. You go, you see all these people with bail reform, and they're not even put into jail. They throw people in the subways, pushing and punching and shoving and all this crap, and they're not even put in jail for a night. So all you got to do is get one really stupid guy to let them out, and you could be back in the same position overnight. However, I don't think the people of I mean, what did he win re-election with? It was a very comfortable margin. Um, he technically can't run again after this term, but I think they'll kind of just force him to. I mean, it'll be the people saying, no, 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 screw the Constitution, you keep running. Because they want a full change. Nobody wants to live in the dangerous conditions. Nobody yearns for that. I don't know where the market for that is. It's just a consequence of poor leadership. But even in America, the people that are living in these dangerous cities, they're not voting for that. They're voting for these parties for other reasons. But they're not doing it because, yeah, I want to live where my son's going to get stabbed on the way home from school. Nobody's clamoring for that. And in El Salvador, I think they will keep it. I really do believe they will. But there is, of course, that danger of, God forbid somebody assassinates Bukele, or God forbid Bukele dies tomorrow and there's no immediate apparent successor. Things can get corrupted. You start letting the criminals out, the gangs take back over, and you're back to where you started.
Yeah, it's true. Hmm. Probably a pretty eye opening experience, though, just to see a safe, functional country.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider what they came from, right? 2019 is when he got in, or 2018, and it took him 2 full years to get it to this level. There was a heavy police presence, heavy military presence. It wasn't an overbearing feeling. It didn't feel like a police state. It just felt safe. They were friendly. Frankly, my wife walked up and took selfies with some of the military people because being from Spain, she wasn't used to seeing guns everywhere. Um, but very friendly people. Um, and just, I couldn't believe we were walking right through the center of the city. It was like 10:30 at night. No problem. No problem. Had my phone out taking videos. And it was pretty full. I mean, just full of people. And they're very proud to show what they've done with the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think about Italy? Kind of disappointing that I forget her name. I can't pronounce
Oh
it, but
yeah,
the
Maloney.
president. What was that? She was big talk and like never really did anything.
She, I don't understand what happened there. She came in, it was 2022? No, 2023, September, or 22. I can't keep it 100% straight. She just did an awful, awful turnaround. She came in, they said she was literally the next Mussolini. She was so far to the right. It was the next fascist revolution. She's basically as far left as any leader in Europe. She's not done anything drastic to rock the boat one way or the other. I think she, in her mind, believes that she can slowly affect change using the current system, even though the current system over there is kind of broken. Italian politics is notoriously broken.
Mm.
Um, she has a majority, she had a governing majority. She has no reason to act like this. She said she'd put a naval blockade in Italy so that people can't just walk over. Not, I'm sorry, not walk over there. They're using boats. Um, but that was what the naval blockade was for. It never materialized. The illegal immigration is up from when she took office, not down. They're still effectively under the same policies. They had talked about, not Maloney, but Salvini, who is her coalition partner, talked about a 15% flat tax, which, let me tell you something, 15% flat tax in Italy, I would be in Italy right now with my full residence in Italy, and that would be where I would be. And many Italian Americans heard 15% flat and they had their dual citizenship. They would have gotten an influx of people like they don't understand. And instead, they just completely ignored it. They're not even doing it. They're not even thinking about it. Not now. Salvini's a good guy. Salvini would have it done, but he's not prime minister. They made sure that he could never probably become prime minister after the slander campaign they ran on him. So yeah, she has blown it. Maloney's blown it, and I. Some people theorize that when Trump gets back in and she has a little more cover from the United States to do things, they say that a lot of what she's doing is because they're worried about the dual taxation treaty getting canceled between America and Italy, and they're worried about the EU cracking down on her the way. So if you look at Hungary, right? Hungary no longer has a dual tax treaty with America anymore. You have to pay tax to Hungary and to America if you're
Mm.
following the law. The EU has cut off tons of subsidies for Hungary. I mean, Hungary is being penalized by the European Union constantly. And they say Maloney is scared of that happening to Italy. Because if the EU money
Mm.
stopped flowing into Italy, she'd kind of have a problem. And if the American tax treaty, it's a much lesser problem for her, but still would hurt. So if
Mm.
she has Biden against her and the European Union against her, what is she going to do? They don't want that. Frankly, I think she should just bite the bullet and go for it. Because you can't go to Milan anymore and feel safe at night around certain areas, and that was never the case. Because they have their problem is baby gangs, they call them. They'll come over. They're
Uh-huh.
30, 40 years old from Senegal, from Somalia. It's literal pirate Somalian gangs. They come over. They walk in. They say they're 14 years old. They present 14, 15. And why is that? That way they get charged as minors. So the law is, and always has been for since some idiot government in Italy did this, you can't ask for proof. They don't, number one, they don't walk in with passports. They're coming from the most backwards parts of the world. So I don't even know if they have passports. But they walk in, I'm 14, full beard, looking like an old man, I'm 14. They can't question it. Then they go and do crime and they get charged as minors. And this is a huge problem going on in specifically Milan. And the city's become a lot less safe for it. And it's spreading. I have a friend who's a mayor of a small town in the north. I won't say the name of the town because he'll get in trouble. Um, the Comune, the city hall of Milan, basically
Mhm.
distributed, not, I'm sorry, not of Milan, of the federal government, basically distributes these migrants places. He
Mhm.
had two migrants. They were having to pay from the city budget for all of their lodging, all of their medicines, all of their medical care, everything, everything, everything. They called him up. They gave him a third. He's like, I literally cannot afford a third. I literally will have to cut services of certain things. I'll have to fire an employee out of the city hall or something to cover for it. Okay, then do it. And now he's got stuck with three on his quote unquote payroll or whatever, whatever they're doing to take care of these people. The small towns can't handle it. Um, I went home to where I'm from. We're from Cosenza in Italy. You got Arabic
in
signs
Calabria.
everywhere. Yeah, you got Arabic signs. It's Italian, English, Arabic. What is this? What is this? Like, what are we doing? Where's the assimilation? Where's the learn Italian? I don't go to a country and not learn the language. And that's something you've talked about as well. If you're going to go live in Latin America, learn Spanish or learn Portuguese. If you're in Brazil, learn. Don't just walk around and expect them to cater to you. But this is what we get far too often. So I don't understand. I don't see somebody. Here's the sad fact. It's going to get really ugly before it gets better. It's going to get to a breaking point, and I don't want to go this deep, but Weimar Germany was a complete mess, right? And then you saw what happened. I don't want to see that again. I don't want to ever see that again. And I hope we sort things out before it gets to the point of almost no return. That's my hope. But you have
It's definitely nuts
income.
how we're seeing it both in Europe and in the US.
It's intentional. It's intentional. You can't you can't control everything if you don't control the West at the moment. And they're working hard. They're working hard. The wokeness, that's what we talk about, so we don't talk about the other stuff. They talk about woke because number one, it corrupts a whole generation. But number two, you talk about woke, you're not talking about illegal immigration. That's what's going to kill the countries. That's what's going to genuinely decimate these countries because it's just cultural incompatibility. And when my family came to America, we assimilated to the ways of America. And that's just how it was. That's how immigration was until I'd say the 90s, where people just decided, nah, screw it. We're not doing that. And now London, I mean, if you look at London, they've elected this guy for a third term, Sadiq Khan. He just won. They approved it. The victory is official. He London's not even a British city anymore. London is just a complete free for all. And it's not xenophobia to say these things. It's just a fact. You're replacing culture straight up. And I notice in Latin America they don't tolerate that. They don't tolerate that. And I like that a lot. I think that's what's going to be it's going to prove to be a refuge for a lot of people who don't want to live. And why should I pay $4,000 or $5,000 a month to live in an American city and be treated like crap and everybody around me hates me and they hate the cities they're in. They literally hate where they are and have no respect for the culture. Why would I do that? Even if the cost savings weren't so drastic in Latin America, why would I want to live in an environment where there's just hatred and decay all around me? Doesn't make sense.
You definitely get, I mean, it's a good time for you to start. I mean, there's unlimited content. Basically, you probably follow on Twitter Radio Genoa. That one's a pretty
Oh
good one.
God, I love that
Uh,
channel. I mean, I hate it and I love it. I hate that it's able to produce so much content. I wish they
every
run out of
day.
content because every day they're posting means something bad happened. Um, I love the one. I don't love it. The guy in Germany. I think he's from Senegal. He's just walking around smashing all these parked cars. Why?
Yeah.
Because he can. And who's going to stop him? Nobody. They don't even stop you. The police come in. Oh, you got a slap on the wrist. He's probably 14 years old in Germany, and nobody's saying his age. They charge them as kids. It's just crazy what they do. God forbid, and then a German goes and do it, and they'll be in jail for 5 years, which is how it should be. But why are these people getting special treatment? I don't get when we decided we're going to just treat criminals, especially illegal criminals, better than citizens. It makes no sense. And I'll tweet about it, and I'll say, if you look at the rate of rape, oh, you didn't say that word before, maybe for a reason, but if you look at that rate, You'll see it much higher in certain populations in Europe, like in Sweden. And then people will come in my comments and they'll say, "Oh, so it's not a problem when a person who's native to the country does it?" Yes, it is a problem. But why are you specifically importing it?
I mean,
Why are you
it's clear as
specifically?
day that the anywhere like that crime's going up.
It's going up. And, why do you incentivize it? Yes, I don't like when anybody does it, but especially if you're not even from the country and you go there specifically to disrespect it. And I don't even blame them all the time, right? Because maybe in their country, some of what they do is okay. And just a fact. Um, you will look at some of the cultures and what some of them are doing in the countries where they're living now would not be an issue back home. That's on the government. Why did you let them come in? Why would you let them come in? You know what's going to happen. It's common sense. If I bring a lion to live in my house and it eats me, it's not the lion's fault.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I'm sure we could get you going for days on some of this stuff. I wanted to ask one sort of different topic
Yeah.
while we still have some time. How do you deal with the haters? Because you are divisive, and it kind of gets to the point where on your tweets, I have to imagine that like half the comments are just like crazy toxic and actually getting to the point of just doing personal attacks on you and stuff.
Oh, God,
How
yeah.
do how do you? I saw you got a parody account recently. I'm not sure if you noticed that. It looks like they just spun it
Do I?
out like this week. Yeah, the guy
Oh,
just
I didn't see
responded to me.
them yet. Oh, cool.
It's only got like 26 followers, but
Oh, we
looks
got
like
to get his
he's
followers up.
looks
I
like
don't
he's
want, I
about to
don't
get it
want,
going.
good
Uh,
for him. I love
you,
it. I'm sorry to say, I love it. I get a kick out of it. We had this one guy, he just got suspended. His name was Tupe Shakur. And he made up these stories about me that were like so high quality. So he said I ran over. So every time I move, you know how people move like because they just move? Every time I move, it was because I had either murdered an ex or raped someone or done some kind of crime. So I'm like some
I heard
international
about. I saw
James.
some bestiality stuff.
There was a whole video. It was Joey Mannarino and all the animals he's had sex with, and it's basically
Yeah, I
every
saw
dog I've ever taken a picture with, or every no, they even had a goat. I mean, I get down. Apparently, I'm a super freak, and
that.
every kind of breed. And then they said that I had that dog that went on the dog whisperer. It was hilarious. And he got suspended. This poor guy. Um, I embrace these people because number one, they make revenue, and number two, I just
Right.
if you think if you love someone to the point where you comment on their posts before I'm even, he'll have commented, and a lot of them will comment before anybody else comes in. At that point, they're one of your biggest fans in a way, and I just think it's hilarious. I was in Poland. I murdered a girl in Poland. That's why I left and went to Hungary. I went to Hungary because I went to a conference. But apparently, I murdered. Oh, and I was working with a Chilean ID. My real name is my fake name that I travel Europe is Santiago Vigaraulel or something, and I travel the whole continent on a fake ID. I'm like, you should write for Netflix. You're wasting your talents here. It was hysterical. So yeah, no, I find them they don't like they think they really get to me. I find it hysterical. I'll sit there and my wife doesn't like it. She blocks them. But I'll sit there and just crack up at them. The memes, the pictures, it's just hysterical. Bestiality was a good one. I forgot that one.
Did you get recognized in Miami?
Very rare, but it's happened a few times. Airports more than Miami. Some guy
Mm.
came up to me like about 2 months ago. He goes, "I'm one of the libtards you hate." I'm like, okay. And then he DM'd me. It's funny because I had one 3, 4 years ago when I was already banned on Twitter, but I would come back under different iterations. He was one of my hardest trolls, and I was in Munich, and he said, because I posted a picture, he goes, "I want to take you to dinner and talk to you." I said, "Okay, let's go." And me and my girlfriend at the time we went, and he's like, wow, you're actually a cool guy. Why do I attack you all day and night? Um, so I'll talk to anyone. I've gone on some of their podcasts, some of these troll people, and some of them like me after, some of them still hate me and hate me worse, and that's fine. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. They don't pay my bills. Some of them do, in a
Speaking
funny
of,
way.
I did want to squeeze this question in, which is I didn't know add fundraising to the list of remote jobs for digital nomads.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know you could.
fundraising. Absolutely, it's basically sales. It's essentially sales.
And so, are you
Email
really good at
marketing.
Yeah, you're good at internet marketing, email lists, and stuff. Or
Yeah, email lists. That's where the primary focus is. We do digital, sometimes phone, but mostly digital. And you can do that. You can do that from anywhere. You can literally do that. I do it literally half the year from not in America.
it seems like it's all the same principles from internet marketing, right? Probably lead
It's the same
magnets,
thing.
funnels.
I mean, my training is in marketing and communications. My degree is in international marketing. I never studied political stuff. I just happened to have a following in politics from over the years of tweeting about it. And people would contact me and want to use lists of mine or something to send messaging out. And we just built a business around it, my business partner and I. Um, and yeah, my business partner doesn't even live in the United States. He's an American citizen. I couldn't tell you the last time he's been here. I'm the one who'll go to the conferences and go to the events. He has a family. But yeah, so basically, two people built a business about political fundraising and all that kind of stuff for the United States people, two American citizens who don't really spend a whole lot of time in the United States. Um, and that's just how it is. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's actually nothing illegal about it. You can work for any political campaign so long as you're a citizen or a green
Hmm.
card holder. At least I recently found out. Um,
And are these state races or
no, federal. I only do federal.
only
Um,
federal?
yeah, I mean, occasionally I do state, but frankly, they don't read. They don't raise money. So because everything I make is a percentage of fundraising, essentially. So the way that you're paid when you do fundraising is they don't pay you like here's 3,000 a month, go make me money. It's what you raise is what you get a percent. So if I don't do my job right, I don't get money.
Makes sense. Wow. So 100%
Sales.
eat what you kill.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like sales, but we know what we're doing. So and then I do other things as well on the side, and you have to have many many streams because one day they cut a stream off, or with political marketing, it's very hard. They ban you all the time from different. I mean, doing emails is like hard because they want to cut you off on all these servers. Because one time we sent an email and it mentioned the name of a certain politician, we got banned from the whole server for one not even that controversial politician's name. And we had to rebuild the whole server. A lot of our time is just spent on banning ourselves off of things. So,
Like MailChimp or whatever.
oh, forget MailChimp. I don't even want to talk about those people. They uh, they are miserable.
Hmm. Random question. Where do you think like the best lifestyle is in the US?
Oh, in the U.S. I've chosen to be in Miami, but a lot of that's because my wife likes to speak Spanish. Um, I don't know. In the U.S., it's tough to say. You got to move to a place that has some semblance of sanity left if you're going to be here. Florida at the moment still seems somewhat sane. The problem is everybody's noticed that, and the prices went sky high. So you don't live that well compared to what you spend. I mean, if I took my Florida budget and imported it into another state, it would go further. Um, but then you want to live in a place like Philadelphia. I mean, it's a beautiful city, but it's so rampant, filled with crime and stuff that you don't even
Yeah,
want to be there.
it's
So
insane.
it's a
You're from
tough.
Pennsylvania, right?
I'm born in Philadelphia. Yeah, I was born and
Born in Philly.
raised in
Okay.
Philadelphia, and I mean, I wouldn't live there now. Wouldn't live there now, and I love it. It's a shame. I genuinely love that city, but they've just let it go to nothing, and I don't see it turning around. Mm. Because the
Mhm.
Republicans have focused on, rather than public safety, they've just made us all into insurrectionists, and they talk about abortion all day. They don't run on their record on public safety. And then the Republican messaging overall is so defensive all the time. They're always, oh, we're not insurrectionists, we're not racists, we're not this, we're not that, but they never say what they are because they just always play into the Democrats' marketing narrative of we're not this. For example, Democrats have Democrat abroad. You can sign up and be a Democrat abroad. They make sure you get your ballot. They make sure you vote. They have groups. They
Mhm.
have meetups. There's no Republicans abroad. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And I've told the leadership this. I've told plenty of people this. Oh well, there's probably not that many Republicans abroad. Well, when you change states by 11,000 votes, precincts are won by two, three, 400 votes at times. Maybe you get 5 Americans who live in Rome and 10 Americans who live in Madrid, and at the end of the day, you get their votes in, and maybe you change a couple of precincts and you change an election. You don't realize how small the margins are in these things. Trump only quote unquote lost the election in 2020 by I think 60,000 votes among 3 states, 4 states.
Mhm.
So it's very small margins. Most of the electorate's baked in. You're working for a very small percentage of votes that actually can flip.
Random question as we get to wrapping up. Have you done any like CNN guest appearances? What do you call that? Like traditional TV
Yeah,
media
I've done a
guest
couple.
appearances?
I've done a couple over the years, and I'm probably going to get more into it. I was actually just having this conversation when I was in Hungary. Somebody says, "Why don't you do them?" And I think I'm a little too hot for some of them as far as controversy. Just a little too much that I say sometimes, where they don't really want to associate. Um, but yeah, no, I've done a few, and I would be happy to do more. But you have to watch what you say sometimes, and I'm not the best at that.
Yeah, I think at this point they're kind of open to anyone with the following or something. Maybe it depends on the channel,
No,
but
they're much more concerned about what you might come out with, which I know how to shut up if I need to. But frankly, we're past the point of shutting up. I
uh,
think the point of shutting up stopped and when COVID shut the whole world down and nobody spoke. Uh, that was very bad. When you told an entire group of people they just had to sit in their house and get that vaccine and don't question anything, and nobody really did that much. That was the point when I realized, like, oh boy, we've kind of, you know, we had a whole revolution for a penny tax on tea about 200 years ago. And now people are being force vaccinated and nobody's even questioning. Like, no, 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 no. The time to stop talking left a long time ago.
mhm, I tend to agree. Well, as we get to wrapping up with Joey, I was going to say as seen on CNN or something.
Yeah.
um, but as we get to wrapping up with Joey Mannarino, yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was honestly really great to connect after so much back and forth on Twitter. I'm really glad that we finally got a chance to put this together. We hit upon a lot of the topics that I was hoping we would, kind of the US versus Europe, what's happening in the US, some of your trips to Latin America and absolutely El Salvador, your road trip with Vivek. So lots of good stuff. Anything that you want to wrap on?
No, thank you for having me. And look forward to seeing what more you guys are doing. I'll probably be working with you to get something somewhere soon. And I just thank you for all you're doing. It's very necessary for people to understand that there is a world outside of the United States. And right now, we're kind of being sold a lie in the United States. And we need to wake up and realize we can learn a lot from the outside world right now because clearly there's a lot to be learned.
Absolutely. I think that is part of what makes your angle as a conservative commentator interesting is that you're not just 100% in Austin, Texas or something that
Yeah,
you're living half the year in Europe, in Italy, you're going around the world, you're checking out these countries, making use of that Miami International Airport. And I think that
I surely am. That's always broken, unfortunately. I got in yesterday, and three of the escalators that I wanted to use, three were broken. One worked, and it was not even one I needed. Literally, like you look at the condition of our infrastructure. Anyway, you want to wrap up, but I could talk about that for another whole podcast. Um,
Yeah, no, I want to be respectful of your time. I haven't seen too many tweets of you actually in Italy or in Europe being like, here's my $1 espresso. Why do I have to drive and spend $6 in the States or whatever it is? I want to see more of that from you where you're like
I can, yeah,
explaining how
I
much
should do
America
more of that.
sucks from another country.
I should do that. I get a lot of blowback because a lot of people think I'm hating America. I love America. Like, I want to make that so clear. I love my country. I'm like, totally love it. But we've just fallen. The country that my parents grew up in is not what I'm living in. And I don't think we're going to get that back by a lot of conservative. Oh, yeah, America's the perfect place and we're living so great and screw the rest of the world. They're living horribly just because they don't have guns and they don't have this and they don't have that. Yeah, they don't have a lot of freedoms that we have and take for granted, but they have a lot of lifestyle that we don't have and they
Hmm.
take it for granted. And, if you look, I have friends in over Europe, okay? They will very much say to me they don't want to have anything to do with coming to America except to visit. And they don't care to see it. You asked that question 30, 40 years ago, everybody would have been on a plane. You ask the common European now, trade what you have for an American passport, leave your country, go live in America. You're going to get maybe 2 out of 10 that will say, okay. You would ask that question 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 9 out of 10 would have left. And it's not because their countries have gotten so dramatically better, it's because we've gotten so much dramatically worse. And it's very much apparent how much our international reputation has declined when you're abroad. And they say, oh, it's because of Trump. It's not because of Trump, it's because of the dangers of our cities, it's because of the woke crap. I mean, the transgender students, and the drag queen story hours, and the bathrooms for furries in certain schools. Furries. I mean, they hear about this overseas. It's like, I go overseas, I tell them I'm American. The stuff I get asked is sick. And I'm like, no, I don't stand for that junk. Is it true that your president has dementia? Is it true that and they'll ask me these things, and people say I'm lying. I wish I was lying. But the same way that we know what's wrong with our country, everybody else knows too. And it's very embarrassing to have to answer for some of these people that say some crazy stuff. Is it true that transgender that they can trans the kids in school and they don't have to announce it to the parents even if the kid is 10 years old? Yeah, it's true, but I don't agree with that. Oh, your country's sick. Yeah, I know. It's like I don't disagree with you. So it's not right. It's not right. So it is a point that I will keep making that we have got to get it together. We got to get it together for ourselves. We really do.
And thank you for everything you're doing to bring uh, what's the word to bring notice and attention to these issues because yes, the stuff in the U.S. is insane, and I think we're kind of ahead of the curve on Twitter because when I talk to people who aren't on Twitter, they don't really know about a lot of this stuff. Sometimes they don't know maybe what's happening in the schools, or they don't know what's going on with all the crazy migrants and stuff. So,
They
um,
find it
I,
out. They find it out later, and they're more shocked. Like when Biden made a Transgender Day of Remembrance, a proclamation on Easter. And I remember my mother called me. She's like, "Did you see this?" She's like, "It has to be fake." She's like, "What?" And Biden made Transgender Day of Visibility on Easter Sunday. And she's like, "That's impossible. He's Catholic." I said, "What do you mean it's impossible? Don't you read? Like, don't you see what's been going on the last 4 years? Of course it's possible. Frankly, it's expected. And a lot of people just hear one or two things and they're blown away. We see it inundated. So it kind of, it's still shocking every once in a while. I'll be shocked, like when you hear that a 5 year old has their genitals removed or something. It still is shocking, but it's not as just welcome to 2024 where this happens. Some people's minds are just blown wide open.
Hmm. That's a good point. I don't know how we wrap now, but yeah, I mean, maybe we can direct people to your Twitter so they can follow you.
Sure, go to Joey Mannarino US. That's my Twitter. And not for the lighthearted, but enjoy. Yeah.
I think your parody account is on my case now. I think they're going to be trolling a
Oh
lot of my
God, did
tweets.
you get some? Yeah, because you tweeted, "What should you ask me?" And now you got them. You got them. But don't block them because they help your algorithm. Because
There you
they'll
go.
comment before you do. You'll write the
Do me a
tweet. You have
favor,
20
Joey.
comments.
Just hold on 1 second as we wrap up, so
Sure.
the audio uploads. But let's get to wrapping up. So again, my guest today, Joey Mannarino, podcast host, political commentator, Twitter personality. Joey, thank you for joining us. Thank you to the audience for listening. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, if it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite podcast player, be sure to subscribe. We drop 2 episodes every single week consistently. You won't want to miss it. Thanks, Joey.
Thank you.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Bit Refill. Bit Refill is the best way to spend your crypto in Latin America. Purchase gift cards or mobile refills from more than 3,500 brands in 186 countries instantly, safely, and privately. Visit bitrefill.com for more information. This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. Introducing Rolf Haltza's Paycheck Multiplication Layering Method, a revolutionary approach that redefines the traditional career path. This is Rolf's new Done With You program where he'll work with you to implement job stacking for yourself. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, are you ready to step out of the shadows of job insecurity and step into a world of career abundance? Then just click the link in the description of this episode, book a call with Rolf, and start walking the path of unleashing your earning potential with job stacking.